Welcome back to Earth's Medicine Cabinet. In our last deep dive, we really got into black human oil.
Oh, yeah?
Well, today, we're going even deeper to the source of that oil, the Nigella sativa seed.
That's right. This tiny seed has kind of a reputation as being a cure-all,
Whoa.
and while we always approach these kinds of claims, cautiously,
Yeah.
the history and the science behind Nigella sativa is just too cool to ignore.
It's like we're opening this, secret vault of ancient wisdom, but
Exactly.
we're bringing a modern scientific lens with us.
Yeah, so our mission today is threefold. First, we're going to figure out exactly what Nigella sativa is. Then we'll look at the science behind it, the benefits, separating fact from hype,
Okay.
and ultimately, by the end, help you understand how it might be relevant to you.
I love it. Okay, so imagine a tiny black seed, part of the buttercup family, would you believe?
Huh.
It's native to a huge area, stretching from the eastern Mediterranean all the way to India. So, well-traveled.
Well-traveled is right, and it's got an even longer history. We're talking millennia here. Nigella sativa has been used in tons of traditional medicine systems like Ayurveda, Unani, Siddha, and Tib.
Wow, wait a minute. For folks who maybe aren't super familiar with those systems, can you give us a quick explainer?
Sure, these are they're ancient systems of medicine mostly practiced in Asia that really emphasize a holistic approach to healing, often using, herbs and other natural remedies. The fact that Nigella sativa has been around for centuries in these systems
Wow.
really says something about its potential.
I mean, that is tapping into ancient wisdom to understand, modern wellness.
Exactly. And get this, Nigella sativa has even been found in Egyptian pharaoh tombs.
Whoa.
Historians think it might have been used as a preservative in mummification because of its antibacterial properties.
That's amazing. Okay, but let's fast forward to today. How is Nigella sativa being used now?
Well, you're probably familiar with it from cooking, especially Middle Eastern and Indian cuisine. The seeds and paste add a kind of earthy, peppery flavor to dishes. But beyond the kitchen, Nigella sativa is a real star in the world of natural remedies.
So there's a whole other side to this tiny seed. So how are people using it for, their health?
Well, you've got a few options. There's essential oil, extracts, powders, even capsules.
Oh, wow.
Oils and pastes, those are great for topical use, like skin conditions or pain relief. But if you're dealing with something internal or chronic, ingesting it might be better.
So many ways to use it. Okay, so it's kind of starting to make sense why some call it a cure-all, right? But that makes me wonder about, the nutrients in it. What exactly is packed into these little seeds that gives them such a, powerful reputation?
Okay, so this is where things get a little bit tricky. Research on the exact nutritional makeup of Nigella sativa is actually pretty limited.
Really?
Yeah, things like where it's grown, when it's harvested, how it's processed, all that can change the final nutrient profile.
So it's a bit of a, mystery ingredient?
A bit, yeah. But we do know some things. They're a good source of protein and fat, along with some smaller amounts of vitamins and minerals. But the specifics, those are still kind of fuzzy. But where the research really shines is in the antioxidant and beneficial compounds in Nigella sativa.
Oh, antioxidants. Those powerful little guys protecting our cells.
Right.
This is where it gets interesting.
Nigella sativa is packed with antioxidants, and one really powerful one is called thymoquinone.
Thymoquinone?
Yeah, try saying that 3 times fast.
I know, right?
It's not only the most abundant antioxidant in Nigella sativa, but it's markedly the one behind a lot of the benefits. And then you've got other good stuff too, like alkaloids, which can help with pain, and phytosterols, which are known for lowering cholesterol naturally. So it's like this whole orchestra of beneficial compounds all working together.
All right, so this is starting to sound a little too good to be true. That cure-all claim we talked about.
Yeah.
Time to separate fact from fiction. Let's dig into what the science actually says about the benefits.
I'm with you. Okay, let's start with one that's pretty much a slam dunk. Nigella sativa's antioxidant power. Plenty of studies have shown this in humans. And remember, antioxidants protect our cells from damage, which can potentially mean a lower risk of chronic diseases, heart disease, cancer, things like that.
So solid foundation for overall health. Got it. What else is on the list?
Next up, inflammation. Now, we all know inflammation is a natural part of healing, but when it's chronic, it can cause all sorts of problems.
Yeah.
And some promising animal studies and a few human ones suggest Nigella sativa might be able to help with that.
Really? So are there any, concrete examples of how it might actually work in people?
Well, there is this one study that looked at women with rheumatoid arthritis, a condition that causes painful joint inflammation. The women who took Nigella sativa oil every day for a couple of months, they ended up with lower levels of inflammatory markers in their blood.
Wow.
And they also reported fewer swollen joints compared to the group that just took a placebo.
Wow, that is impressive. So it's not just theoretical. There's like real potential for Nigella sativa to help people. What other research areas are looking promising?
Well, there's some early research, including test tube, animal, and a few small human studies that suggests Nigella sativa might be able to boost the immune system.
Oh, interesting.
It seems like the extract could actually stimulate the activity of white blood cells, which, are our body's first line of defense against infection.
Wait, so it's like giving your immune system a little extra power. But you said it's early research, right?
Yeah, exactly. We still need more research to be sure that this increase in white blood cell counts actually leads to, noticeable improvements in how well the immune system works. It's definitely promising, but we got to be cautious and wait for more solid evidence.
Okay, makes sense. Science takes time. But I have to say, I'm getting pretty excited about all this potential. Are there any other potential benefits on the horizon?
Oh, there are a few that are especially exciting, particularly for brain health. Animal research is suggesting that thymoquinone, remember that powerful antioxidant,
Uh-huh.
well, it might be able to combat inflammation in the brain. And that's important because brain inflammation is linked to some serious conditions like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease.
Wow. So Nigella sativa could actually help protect our brains as we get older.
It's definitely a possibility. There was even one small study in older adults that showed some, promising results with memory improvement after taking Nigella sativa. But it's an old study and it needs to be repeated with more people to confirm these findings.
Okay, good to know. Brain health is so important, but heart health is right up there too. Is there anything promising in that area?
Absolutely. Some studies show that Nigella sativa may lower both cholesterol and blood pressure, which are, of course, two major risk factors for heart disease. We're talking potential drops of 16 to 23 milligram a DL in total cholesterol and 3 to 4 points in blood pressure.
Wow, those are like serious numbers. But you said before that some studies were inconclusive, right?
Right. Research on Nigella sativa and heart health is still, ongoing, so we can't say for sure that it's a guaranteed fix.
Got it.
But the early findings are definitely worth investigating further.
It feels like we're like on the edge of some major breakthrough. So it seems like there's a theme here. Promising results, but we need more research. Okay, there's one more big one I got to ask about. Blood sugar. With type 2 diabetes on the rise, is there any hope there?
There's definitely hope. Several studies suggest that Nigella sativa might have a positive effect on blood sugar levels. It seems like it could potentially boost insulin secretion and make cells more sensitive to insulin, both of which are key for regulating blood sugar.
So potentially another tool in the toolbox for managing blood sugar and maybe even preventing type 2 diabetes. That's incredible. But before we get carried away, are there any like downsides to Nigella sativa? All this talk about benefits has me wondering if there's a catch.
That's a great question. It's important to look at both sides. The good news is Nigella sativa has a long history of use in traditional medicine and in cooking with, minimal reports of negative effects. It's even a common ingredient in some cultures.
So pretty safe for most people.
Yeah, but there's a little asterisk there. The research on its safety and side effects is, well, it's limited, especially in humans. Most of the studies have been done in animals, often using much higher doses than people would typically consume.
So like with anything, moderation is key.
Exactly. Too much of a good thing can, well, the rest. Until we have more concrete research on safe dosages, it's always best to err on the side of caution.
Makes total sense. We've covered a lot of ground here from like ancient history to modern research. Nigella sativa is one fascinating little seed. Okay, so it's time to bring it all home. What does this all mean for our listeners?
Yeah, that's the million-dollar question, and it's what we're going to unpack in part 2 of our deep dive. Stay tuned.
Can't wait.
Welcome back to Earth's Medicine Cabinet. Before the break, we were really getting into Nigella sativa, that tiny seed with a huge reputation. We talked about its long history in traditional medicine, explored some, really exciting potential benefits, and even touched on some areas where, well, we need more research.
Right, and I bet our listeners are really wanting to know what this all means for them. It's one thing to talk about, studies and all that, but it's a whole different thing to like actually figure out how Nigella sativa could fit into their lives.
Exactly. So let's try to sum up everything we've learned into some key takeaways. Okay, first things first, we got to be super clear. Nigella sativa is not a magical cure-all.
Right.
That panacea label gets thrown around a lot, but we need to look at those kinds of claims with, a healthy dose of skepticism.
Totally agree. No matter how exciting something sounds, we always have to look at the evidence. So what does the evidence tell us about Nigella sativa?
Well, like we've been saying, the science is still it's still developing, but there are some really compelling benefits that are backed by research.
Right.
We talked about its powerful antioxidant properties, its potential for reducing inflammation, maybe even strengthening the immune system, and even, possibly impacting brain health, heart health, and blood sugar regulation. That's a lot for one little seed.
It is, but you keep saying like potential and possible. So for our listeners out there who are curious and want to try it, how should they approach Nigella sativa?
That's a great question. I think the key is to be both cautious, but also, really pay attention to how you're feeling, how your body's reacting.
Okay.
We know it's been used safely for centuries in traditional medicine and even in cooking, but like we talked about, the research on, the right dosage and potential side effects is still limited, especially for people.
Right. So moderation is key, as with like almost anything.
Absolutely. Start slow, listen to your body, and remember that everyone is different. What works for one person might not work for another. It's all about finding what's right for you.
Personalized wellness, as always. Okay, so someone's interested in trying Nigella sativa. What's the best way to, like, actually do it? There are so many forms of it, it can be overwhelming.
Yeah, you're not wrong. There are tons of options. The good news is Nigella sativa is pretty easy to find in a lot of different forms, and each one has, its own advantages.
Okay,
You've got the seeds and the paste. Those are great for like adding flavor to food, and then the oil, which can be used topically or in your food. And then, of course, there are capsules, powders, and extracts, which are often more targeted for specific health concerns.
it's like a choose-your-own-adventure for your health. But with so many choices, how do you know where to even start?
Good question. The most important thing is to do your research. Choose a high-quality product from a company you trust. Don't be afraid to ask questions, and look for brands that are really open about where they get their ingredients and how they make their products.
And speaking of questions, I think it's super important to remind everyone that, we're not doctors, and this isn't medical advice. Talking to a healthcare provider is always a good idea, especially if you have any health conditions or are taking medications.
100%. We're all about empowering people to take charge of their health, but that definitely includes working with qualified healthcare professionals to make those decisions. It's a team effort.
Totally. I mean, before we move on, I wanted to touch on something we mentioned earlier. Those other potential benefits of Nigella sativa that are still being researched. Can you give our listeners a quick overview of what's on the research radar?
Sure, we're talking about things like potential anti-cancer effects, maybe helping with male fertility, relieving asthma symptoms, antimicrobial properties, even protecting the liver and kidneys, and possibly even treating stomach ulcers. It's quite a list. And it's super important to remember that these are just areas of exploration, not like proven facts.
Right. It's like we're just starting to scratch the surface of what Nigella sativa can do. It's both exciting and a little bit humbling. But this leads us perfectly to that big question we asked at the end of the last part. Could Nigella sativa become like a more mainstream part of how we approach health in the future?
That's the million-dollar question. And honestly, I don't think there's an easy answer. There's definitely a lot going for it. A long history of safe use, promising research findings, and, more and more people are interested in natural remedies these days. But like we've been talking about, there are also some challenges. We need more solid research, especially when it comes to safety and figuring out the right dosages.
Right, and education is key too. We need to like bridge the gap between what we know from traditional use and what modern clients is telling us, so that both healthcare providers and the public are well informed about the potential of Nigella sativa.
Exactly. It's about creating a space where, traditional knowledge and scientific evidence can work together so that people can make informed choices about their health.
So the future of Nigella sativa is a bit of a mystery, but one that's full of potential. Okay, I know we got to wrap up this part soon, but I want to leave our listeners with one last thought to like chew on.
Oh, I knew you couldn't resist. What is it?
Okay, so if Nigella sativa were to become more mainstream, how do you think that would change how we think about health and wellness? Would it be seen as like the solution or just another tool in the toolbox?
That's a really great question. And I think the answer will become clearer as more research comes out and more people learn about this amazing little seed. But for now, I think it's safe to say that Nigella sativa shows us just how powerful nature can be in supporting our well-being. And it reminds us that sometimes the smallest things can have the biggest impact.
I love that. Well, on that note, we've got to take another quick break, but stick around. We'll be back soon to wrap up our deep dive into the world of Nigella sativa.
Welcome back to Earth's Medicine Cabinet. We've been on quite a journey with Nigella sativa, haven't we? It's like from ancient tombs to modern labs. This tiny seed's got a lot going on. It really does. And, in that last part, we left everyone thinking about this big question. What if Nigella Sativa actually became like a mainstream part of how we approach health?
Right, we've talked about the potential benefits, how it seems to be pretty safe based on, centuries of traditional use and all this research that's coming out. It does feel like Nigella Sativa is, poised to make a real difference.
Yeah, I think so too. But there are still a few things we got to figure out. One of the big ones is like we don't really have clear dosage guidelines. We know it's generally safe in small amounts, but we need more research to like really pinpoint how much to take for specific health issues.
That makes sense. We want people to feel comfortable trying Nigella Sativa, but safety has to come first. We don't want anyone, just guessing or taking way too much.
Exactly. And that's where, healthcare providers come in. We need more doctors and other healthcare professionals to like really understand Nigella Sativa, the benefits, the research, and of course, any potential risks or, interactions with other medications. That way they can give good advice to their patients who are interested in trying it.
It's like we're building this bridge between ancient wisdom and like modern medicine, right? And that bridge needs to be built on solid science. We've talked about the promising research that's already out there, but we need more of it. Those larger studies that really dig into how it works, the long-term effect, and the best ways to use it.
Absolutely. We need the kind of research that'll, convince everyone, even the skeptics, and really open the door for Nigella Sativa to be used more widely in healthcare.
And we can't forget about access to information. It's not enough to just do the research. It's got to be available to everyone, right? We need to make sure people can easily find good, reliable information about Nigella Sativa, what it's used for, any risks, and how to use it safely and effectively.
It's all connected, isn't it? More research, better education for everyone, both healthcare providers and the public, and then like making sure that good information is easy to find. It's a lot, but I think our listeners are up for it.
Oh, totally. Our listeners are the best. They're curious, engaged, and, passionate about natural wellness. They're the kind of people who ask questions, do their own research, and like really take charge of their health.
They're the pioneers, the ones who are willing to explore Earth's medicine cabinet and discover all these amazing plants like Nigella Sativa. And we're right there with them every step of the way, helping them, get the information they need.
I love that. So to all our awesome listeners, I say keep that curiosity going, keep asking those questions, keep learning, and, share what you find with the world. Together, we can unlock all the potential of Nigella Sativa, and who knows what other natural wonders are out there waiting to be discovered.
Beautifully said. It's been so much fun exploring Nigella Sativa with you all today. We hope you've learned a thing or two and, that you're feeling inspired to really embrace the power of nature for your health and well-being.
And remember, Earth's medicine cabinet is always open. So until next time, stay curious, stay informed, and keep on exploring the amazing world of natural remedies.